everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and welcome to the great and powerful Comic Book Vault. We've got 5 new issues for you this week on new acquisitions, and we're going to start it off with some Marvel stuff. It's Cyclops got incarcerated week. We've got 2 issues in which we see a jailed Cyclops from the events from Avengers vs. X-Men, and the first one is AVX Consequences #1. I was really on the fence about whether or not to buy this. I said that last week, and I really don't even know if I'm going to get the entire miniseries. I went ahead and picked this up just so that I could review it and let people know whether or not I thought that they should, that it was worth it and they should pick it up if you really liked AVX. So, you're welcome. And honestly, my final verdict on this is, you take it or leave it. I honestly think that you could probably get away with not picking this up at all, especially if you're reading Uncanny Avengers, because the stuff dealing with Cyclops and the aftermath of what he did in Avengers vs. X-Men, and how, you know, he's in prison now, and all of that is very much covered in Uncanny Avengers. This is really what you'd expect. It's pretty predictable. It's not bad, but I found it to be kind of, you know, what I would expect from an epilogue, and kind of thought that. Now, of course, we don't have the whole 5 issues, so I don't know exactly where they're going to go with this, but you know, it doesn't cover a whole lot of ground. I don't think it's really worth the $3.99, and it pretty much is just Wolverine trying to decide if he wants to have to talk to Cyclops because he's afraid that he'll kill him if he dies, and it's also dealing with Scarlet Witch and Hope, and, you know, Hope trying to decide what the heck she's going to do. Basically, both of them. And I like that they're in this place, but this is the place I would expect them in. You know, Hope and Scarlet Witch both after the events of AVX. What do we do now? And Hope trying to figure out how she's going to live more of a normal life, and that sort of thing. So, you know, if you really loved AVX, this is informative, but not the most, you know, exciting thing in the world, and I don't know, I just don't think it's really necessary, at least from the first issue. So at least that's good. I mean, I wouldn't want it to be like you have to read this because it feels like more of Avengers vs. X-Men, like it should have been in the maxi series. So, you know, I don't want to contradict myself. I think it's good that you don't have to read this. Having said that, it's $3.99. I really think it should have been $2.99. The artwork is okay, but certainly not up to the same caliber as Avengers vs. X-Men. This is Tom Rainey on art, Kieran Gillen writing, and Gillen does a fine job. I think he's got a good voice for Cyclops and Wolverine and everybody. And again, the art, it's okay. It's not really my cup of tea, and it's not, and it's really under detailed. So anyway, that's AVX Consequences #1. Very lukewarm response for me on that. Next up is Uncanny Avengers #1, to which I had exactly the opposite reaction. This is fantastic. Honestly, this kind of does what Avengers vs. X-Men Consequences should have done if that many was going to be necessary, because it opens with Xavier's funeral, and you actually get to hear Wolverine's eulogy that he mentions in AVX that he's going to give, and it's really good. Basically, Wolverine's eulogy is all about how he'd love to say that the X-Men are continuing on the legacy as Professor X would want them to, but the truth is they failed him, and he's wanting to try to put the pieces back together as much as humanly possible. And the person, it turns out, doing the best job to help him do that is Captain America, who's putting together this team of Avengers and X-Men, which was hinted at the end of AVX, and of course we knew this was going to happen, and Captain America's whole reason for doing this is to kind of fix his mistakes of not championing the mutant cause before. Because after all, Captain America is a big voice in the superhero community, and if he had tried to help out the X-Men and kind of back Xavier's cause more, maybe more would have gotten done within Professor X's lifetime. I say lifetime, you know, as if we can assume he'll never come back to life again. Surely this is not the last. This is not the first time Professor X has died, and I'm sure it won't be the last. But anyway, X's death still has a lot of emotional weight, at least for this story, and Havoc is about to become a huge, huge deal, because basically Captain America comes to Havoc and tells him that now that Cyclops has been incarcerated, they need a leader, and he thinks the best person for the job is Havoc, is Cyclops' brother, and Havoc and Cyclops have a really emotional scene in the prison where Havoc basically tells Cyclops everything that's been wrong with his philosophy this entire time, and really raises a lot of the same concerns that I did when Dan and I reviewed AVX of the reasons that I had problems with Cyclops' side in this, and why he ultimately kind of failed. And the end of this is crazy. This is basically bookended with what's clearly a supervillain talking about his supervillain plans, and you don't know who it is. And I won't give it away, but when you get to the end and you find out who it is and what he's doing, it's both a really exciting reveal. It's really cool who's going to be the big bad guy for this first story arc, but what he's doing is absolutely psychotic. It's nuts, and I couldn't even believe it. I believe the look on my face was. So anyway, this is a great book. Pick it up. It's a really good start for Marvel now, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be great. Let's go ahead and jump over to DC now. I want to talk about Batman Arkham Unhinged #7, just briefly. So, of course, I've been buying this Arkham Unhinged book, and it's a little bit. It makes my poll a little bit lopsided with reviews because, of course, it's not a real important book, and it's collecting stories that were already previously released online. So this is all kind of old news, but I'd like to talk about it anyway because I really like this book, and I continue to really like this book. And Derek Friedolfs is cranking out some great scripts on this, and I'd like to see Derek Friedolfs get his own Batman book. I'm going to go that far. I think he's been great, and I don't think he's actually been the only writer on this book, but he's written a lot of it, and I've liked every story he's told. This is like, in some ways, and I mean, this is within the Arkham universe, so it's not really this, but it feels almost like a lost Gotham City Sirens script, and actually it reads like a Gotham City Sirens issue, which I thought was really exciting. If you haven't been reading Arkham Unhinged, but you really liked Gotham City Sirens and you kind of miss it, and like you're not really caring for the Catwoman book and things like that, get this, because it'll whet your palate for that stuff a little bit. Not only is the story right up to spec for what that book was doing, and how, you know, these three supervillains, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn, are friends, but they also, you know, kind of double cross each other at points, and it ends up being Poison Ivy versus Catwoman, echoing a little bit of the stuff that was going on at the end of Gotham City Sirens. It's not a rehash of that because this is in a different universe and it's over an entirely different problem. But you don't need to know anything about Arkham to read this book, about you know, Arkham City or any of the Arkham Unhinged stories before this. This is very much a one shot, and a lot of these have, really all of these have been. But I highly recommend it if you really liked Gotham City Sirens. And what's really cool is that it actually invokes the idea of the sirens. It actually talks about the Greek myth of the sirens, and calls back to that book a little bit, just sort of in an homage kind of way. And I think that Mike Miller, who I don't know, his artwork is calling a little bit to what Gotham City Sirens looked like, and what is his name? Why am I blanking on it? And he's drawing Catwoman right now too. I can't think of his name, but anyway, his art looks a little bit like that artwork, and that's really fantastic. Why am I blanking on his name right now? Gillen March, that's who it is, Gillen March. Next up, I have been really looking forward to this. I've been anticipating this book, and here it is, and it doesn't disappoint. It's everything I was hoping it would be. Here is Batman: Death of the Family. This is the beginning of Batman: Death of the Family, and it's Batman number 13. This cover's neat. You've got the Joker with his old face glued back onto his new face. Not really glued on, but he's got like these like pin things holding it back, and it's really gross and creepy. And then you open it up and you have Batman's face, and it might look like a really gimmicky cover, but that actually has a lot to do with what this story is about. The Joker is back, of course, and there's going to be this, big new story arc, and Joker's whole plan, it looks like, is to try to, one by one, hurt and or kill, it's hard to really tell what his plan is, all of the Bat family, and try to separate Batman from the Bat family. Now, it doesn't immediately sound like a really original idea, but what it seems like Joker's wanting to do is bring things back to formula. The Joker doesn't like the fact that Batman has sidekicks and allies. He wants it to be Joker versus Batman. And he's using this whole him losing his face and putting it back on thing as a way as kind of this metaphor for how he feels about his relationship with Batman now. He feels like things have gotten stale. He misses what he thinks are the good old days. And again, he just wants it to be mano a mano, like Joker said in 1989, in the 1989 film. He wants it to just be Batman and Joker, and he's getting really unpredictable because he's doing things differently than how he usually does. He doesn't usually seem to have this kind of nostalgic motivation, but he does now, and it's unclear as to what exactly provoked all of this. And I'm sure that Snyder's going to give us more and more of that as we go along, and how he planned this out over this last year while he's been missing, and why exactly he's doing all of this. But that's really all I want to say. I don't want to give too much away because I basically told you his plan and his motivations, but not how he's going through it, because there are a lot of unpredictable moments here, and really chilling scenes, and these horrifying things that the Joker manages to accomplish. And like I said, he's really unpredictable right now, and so even if you've read a million Joker stories, it's hard to tell exactly what he's going to do, and that's really cool. I also really like how Harley Quinn fits into this, and there's a backup feature at the end of this that tells us how Joker got Harley Quinn to do what she does in this issue, and that's kind of a chilling moment in and of itself. So anyway, I really recommend this. Now, I don't know if we're going to have to read every book in this to get a complete story. There's a checklist. There are 22 issues on the checklist, and it goes through not all of the Bat books. Dark Knight's not on here, but it goes through Batman and Detective and Batman and Robin, and then all the other offshoots that are kind of Batman family books. So Red Hood and the Outlaws, Nightwing, Batgirl, Catwoman, Suicide Squad, and actually I think no, it does go through a couple issues of Catwoman too, in Teen Titans. So anyway, I'm going to kind of keep my feelers out and figure out just how much of this you need to read to get a complete story, because I don't know if I really want to have to buy all of those issues of those books that I'm not reading right now. And again, I'm not a big fan of these big mega crossovers, except for when they're done extremely, extremely well. So but this is a really good start. So anyway, like I said, I'm gonna kind of keep my eyes open and see how much of this you kind of have to read. But I say I don't like these big giant mega crossovers, but two of my favorite Batman stories are Nightfall and No Man's Land. And of course I love Death of Superman and stuff like that, and those were all like that, where you could skip chapters of it here and there, but it really did go through 40, 50 issues. I'm glad that if that's what they're doing with this, it's only 22. So anyway, that's Death of the Family. I wanted to briefly mention this free Arrow special edition thing. I watched Arrow last night, the first episode, and was actually pretty surprised by it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty great, and it's. It's not genius, it didn't blow me away, but it was a lot smarter of a show than I expected it would be. And I'm not going to go into the show right now. I am probably going to be reviewing that with Eric here pretty soon. And I don't know what Eric thought of it. I haven't talked to him yet, but I really enjoyed it, and we'll continue watching, at least for the first few episodes, and give it a good solid chance. But I really like that they're doing this comic book. Basically, what they're doing is they're going to be putting out this comic book that runs congruently with the show, that gives you extra information about the show or about the character, and kind of fills in gaps between episodes. Now, hopefully it won't feel like it's necessary to read the comic book to watch the show, because that would be really aggravating. But I do like the idea that, there's always kind of things that happen off screen that you'd kind of maybe like to know about, and that's why we have things like web series and things like that give you kind of fun extra stuff. You don't have to have it, but it tells you more about these characters. And this is something I haven't seen DC do before, and it's really, really smart. I would assume that this is happening because of the success of the Smallville Season 11 comic, and I think that's selling well. I haven't been reading it, but what I do think is really smart about this is a good way to advertise the show, to get people to watch it, because if they can get the small yet vocal comic book crowd to watch the show based on Green Arrow, that might help raise their viewership, and at the very least, they can really push it to our crowd, the people that would care about this the most, of course. Because that's also going to be kind of the most skeptical crowd in the first place. CW doing a show based on Green Arrow? Not everybody is going to be excited about that idea. I wouldn't be, of course, as thrilled with this if I didn't like the show, but I think that it's pretty good, and I think this comic book's pretty good, actually. This is... Let me get the credits on this. This is written by a number of people. Andrew Kreisberg, I think, is doing this first part of this, because see, they give you a preview at the end of this of a new issue of Green Arrow from 52, and I didn't even read that. I'm not reading Green Arrow currently. I just wanted to kind of see what this comic for Arrow was like, and it's illustrated by Omar Francia or Francia. I don't know him, but I think the art in this is actually pretty, and it's a pretty good approximation of what the show feels like. I'm glad I read this after I watched the first episode. I'm not really going to review this. It's free. You can pick it up at your local comic book shop if they have these. But for a 7 or 8 page story, there's like a flashback that opens this that's from 6 years ago, like just before Ollie wound up on the island, and then it ends with something that happens after he gets back, and it's tied together. The whole thing's tied together really well. So anyway, that's pretty cool. It's certainly worth picking up because it's free. And the last thing I want to talk about this week, of course, is Jason's pick, and Jason happens to be standing right here with me, so I guess I'll let him sit with me while I review this. Jason, can you say hi?
Hi.
Can you tell everybody what you picked this week? What was your pick?
X-Men.
X-Men number 37 is what Jason picked this week. If you haven't been watching New Acquisitions lately, I'm doing this new thing on weeks that I don't have a bazillion books to read that are on my pull, where I always take Jason to the comic shop with me every week, and he gets to pick out a comic book for me to review. Anything that I don't happen to be reading regularly, and this week he grabbed X-Men number 37. Now, as you probably know, reading any X-Men issue, really of any X book, out of regular, out of regular reading is kind of a difficult thing to do, to just pick it up and read it, because X-Men is generally a little bit soap opera-esque. But anyway, I bought it anyway, and I gave it a go, and this isn't bad. This is basically a big confrontation between Storm and Colossus over how Storm is handling this business with a proto-mutant that was found, and the fact that proto-mutants exist. And they, basically, there was the scientist that was looking into the proto-mutants and trying to figure out what they were and how they fit into the grand scheme of mutant kind, and they actually discovered an immortal proto-mutant that's been alive for 700 years, and he doesn't like the fact that they're messing with the DNA of his of his friends, really, that he was with back in the day, and he wants them to stop. And Colossus doesn't think Storm is handling all of this right. I won't go into gritty detail, but basically he thinks that Cyclops ought to be handling this. And by the way, this is really weird to read in the middle of the AVX stuff, because obviously it's behind right now. Because Colossus thinks Storm should be letting Cyclops handle this, but this obviously is before all of the events of Avengers versus X-Men, so I imagine that she'll be able to wave the flag of "I told you so" after all of that gets finished. But anyway, so you've got Pixie kind of hanging out with the Proto-Mutant and learning about kind of his philosophies and how he feels about things, and you've got Colossus saying that, Storm, this is my last straw with you. You're a terrible leader, and I don't like the fact that you threw me out of an airplane. And that's pretty much this issue. Yeah, I would say this is decent. You know, if you're anchoring for some X-Men that's not the two main books, and you want to see what some of these other characters are doing. It's an odd lineup, this team. If you don't know what this book has been, the team has consisted of Storm, Psylocke, Pixie, Colossus, and Domino. And Domino's not actually in this issue really, but there's a solicitation for the next issue, which looks like it's Domino dealing with Daredevil, maybe, so that's actually kind of intriguing. But anyway, that's all of my stuff for this week. Hope you enjoyed it, and if there's anything you'd ever like to send me to review on the Comic Book Vault, either something you want to donate to the Vault, or something that you want to let me borrow, just send me a personal message first, and then you can send it to our P.O. Box. That's Geekvolution, P.O. Box 14183, Lenexa, Kansas 66285. I'm Captain Logan, and happy reading.